Hello, I'm Greg Harrison with USDA Market News Service here in St. Joe, Missouri with your National Feeder Cattle Summary this week. Feeder cattle prices this week when compared to last week, calves traded mostly $5 to $15 lower, yearlings trading mostly $5 to $10 lower. And there was instances throughout the Midwest and throughout the Northern Plains where we've seen some calves weighing 5 to up to 750 pounds trading with a steady, on a steady market, and in instances even a few places where they called them a little bit higher, and it was also the same way on some bigger yearling cattle weighing over 800 pounds. Lately we just haven't used that word steady much, but there was a few markets out there that did have some steady or near unevenly steady prices, we'll put it that way. But for the most part, the bulk of this week's sales traded in that 5 to 15 lower on calves and 5 to 10 lower on yearlings. Demand was moderate this week to good, as buyers remain very cautious on their buying, as we've just seen a lot of volatility continue in these markets. Last Friday, we saw cattle futures trade with limit losses, and then we went into a 3-day weekend, and just pretty much appearing that maybe on Tuesday it would continue. But the coast was clear on Tuesday, and we've seen cattle futures trade with some sharp gains and after Friday's collapse. But then on Wednesday, well, the stock market suffered some heavy losses. This spilled over into the cattle futures, and cattle futures traded with some sharp triple-digit losses, but they did bounce back from their lows on Wednesday, and it's just been really hard to ignore Wall Street starting out the year with some major losses, and outside markets are definitely a wild card, and it just spills over into this commodity market, especially feeder cattle and live cattle markets. Price risk is just hard to determine at this time and manage when you see a lot of global markets that kind of stand on the ropes. The cave-in on oil prices, that's had a negative impact on world markets and also banks, and there is also just a lot of unknown variables out there, and this has situations as they unfold, leaves just a lot of uneasiness in these markets. And when you look at concerns over the global unease, it's just how it's going to affect our beef exports and also our impact on beef demand. We did have some good news this week. On Thursday, after these losses on Wednesdays, these sharp losses, we saw buying come back into the market, and we've seen sharp upsides and we've seen sharp downsides and shifts in this market. And but we saw live cattle and feeder cattle futures on Thursday closed with limit to near limit gains. We saw the stock market also have a bounce back after Wednesday's losses, and so hopefully that can put a positive spin on our markets to end the week. Packers have been enjoying some decent margins on box beef cutouts that have had a good run, although it looks like the cutout value this week has started to top out going into midwinter. We've seen a pullback this week on choice product and select, and Thursday's close we saw box beef close at $2.28 lower, closing at $227.67. Looking at some regional weighted averages for feeder cattle, steers weighing 600-700 pounds in north central region, about $5 lower this week at $169.55. 700 to 800 pound steers at also about $5 lower at $156.58. 800 to 900 pounds trading about $7 lower at $146.90. In the south central region, steers about $7 lower at $179.49. 600-700 pound steers about $6 lower at $163.87, and 800 to 900 pounds trading about $6 lower at $144.62. Southeast region, 400 to 500 pound steers running about $12 lower than last week at $186.94, and 500 to 600 pounds $4 lower at $166.79. And this has been your markets for this week. Thanks for listening. Be back with you next week.